My SIL feels like I stole her thunder after she gave birth. Too long didn't read. I gave birth to triplets the same day. A few hours after, my SIL gave birth and she is upset because she feels we stole her thunder. And our family isn't doing a great job at making it seem like we didn't either, since they only ask about our babies. The people involved are me, 25F, my husband, 25M, my SIL, 32F, and my Bill, 31M. My SIL is my husband's brother's wife to give you a better idea of the relation. I also mention my son, 14 months, M, SIL's daughter, 9F, and all of our babies that were born during the course of this story. My SIL and Bill have been trying to have a baby for a long time, 5 or 6 years. They went through multiple different fertility treatments up to and including IVF, none of which worked. They were taking a break, trying to figure out what to do next when she got pregnant. When she told everyone, we were all thrilled. She has one child from a previous relationship. My Bill and her started dating when her daughter was a baby, a few months, but this is my Bill's first child. My husband and I started dating a few years after them, 5 years ago. She's always been a bit jealous that we moved faster than them, engaged first, married first, had a baby first. But despite this, we have always had a good relationship, and I definitely understand why she was so frustrated about all of that. So, like I said, we had a baby 14 months ago. It was the first grandchild born into the family, and naturally everyone was very excited to have a newborn around. She wasn't so excited, but seeing as we went through infertility as well, I don't blame her for that. It took a while for her to want to be around us again, but a few months after we seemed to get back to normal. She did admit she was kinda sad she wasn't having the first grandchild, but she also understood that we can't pause our lives for them. A few months after having our first, without telling anyone, my husband and I started trying for a second. The first time took 10 months after starting fertility treatments, so we didn't expect it to work right away, but it did. So I was 12 weeks behind my SIL. She was due April 2nd and I was due June 23rd. Then we found out that the one embryo we had transferred had split twice, so suddenly we found out we were going from a family of 3 to 6. She announced a few days before we found out it was triplets, October 28th. We didn't announce our pregnancy for 10 more weeks, when I hit 12 weeks December 9th, and we didn't tell anyone it was triplets until 20 weeks, February 5th. Anyways, she was kinda upset that it was triplets. She felt like everyone kinda focused on that rather than her pregnancy, which they did, unfortunately, but also understood that I couldn't really control that, and we continued having a pretty good relationship, especially since we were pregnant at the same time. Since I was having triplets, my doctors wanted me to be admitted to the hospital for continuous monitoring at 24 weeks. In case something went wrong, I could immediately be taken to surgery and have them. So I went into the hospital at the beginning of March. SIL went into labor on March 30th and had her baby at 2:06 a.m. March 31st. I had been having some issues all that week, starting the 24th, but we had been able to stabilize all the babies thus far until we couldn't. On March 31st, one of the baby's heart rates, baby B, was fluctuating wildly and we couldn't find it sometimes. Because of this, my doctors decided it was time. So March 31st at 4:31, 4:33, and 4:37 p.m. I gave birth. All babies are doing well, but seeing as they were only 28 weeks are in the NICU. SIL had texted everyone that morning letting us know she gave birth, and the family chat was blowing up with everyone being so excited. My husband texted before going into the surgery to pray for us and our babies, and then texted right after surgery that I was doing well and all babies were born and doing as well as we could expect, but we had a long road. The family chat kinda shifted from being happy and excited for them to concern for us. My Bill texted my husband saying that his wife was very upset and felt like we stole their moment and that they needed time. It's been 10 days and they haven't talked to us anymore or acknowledged us in the group chat. Obviously I wouldn't have chosen to give birth that early, though I was expected to, and I definitely would have liked to give birth on a different day than her. but I wasn't in the place to make that decision. The family has been asking a lot about our kids and how they are doing, but not much about how they are adjusting to having the baby home. I've tried to steer the conversation towards them some, but without them responding to me it doesn't really work. I really don't know what else to do. It's not like I can change what happened, and it's not like it was my fault. The family isn't really doing a good job of acknowledging everyone, specifically them, but I don't know how to change that either. I feel like this has completely soured our relationship and I'm not sure if I can fix it. Does anyone have any advice on how to go about this? Should I just give it more time? I also feel like this is going to come up every year when we go to celebrate their birthdays. Never let anyone try and convince you to do birthday parties together. That's the only advice I have. While none of this is your fault and it really is just crappy circumstances. However, maybe no more group texts as participating in that just sinks the knife deeper. It's not your fault, but it also makes sense that SIL feels the way she does. This poor behavior is on hubby's family. I'm not sure there's anything you can do about it. I know, I wish they would ask her about her son. Get them being concerned about ours and even asking more, since their status can change rapidly, but they pretty much haven't brought him up at all. Her situation is understandable and you're very empathetic, but you're holding on to an unhealthy amount of guilt for something that should only be a happy occasion. Don't let her take that away from you. She has her own demons to face. Please try to be happy for yourself. Sounds like your husband needs to step up and have a firm chat with his family, obviously not Sil and Bill, and ask that they move discussion about you and your babies out of the group chat, and to involve your Sil more. It's cruel the way her family is dismissing her considering her history with fertility. Sil has done almost everything right given her situation too. She's hardly being a bitch about it as some commenters seem to think. It's gut-wrenching to want a baby and not have one while others do, and the best thing to do is take a step back and have some alone time to cope quietly, which she did. And finally, having a baby only to be ignored because of someone else's birth is also a big hit, so she's withdrawing again to cope. I think it's clear from the message from Bill and the lack of any actual direct rudeness to Op that Sil doesn't actually have ill feelings toward Op, rather Op and surrounding family are triggers right now because of the situation. No one's fault, and the family treatment, family's fault. They're doing the right thing and taking a step back to cool down and decrease anxiety from spending time in group chat. It's almost the same situation I was in when I shut down my old Facebook account, and how I'm also currently avoiding a group family chat. Sil and Bill are taking the right actions on their side to stay positive with their newborn. Now it's the family's job to do right and shift a little focus their way. Girlfriend, 19F, slides into my 19M DMs using her best friend's 18F phone as a prank. To simplify, GF girlfriend, BF girlfriend's best friend. A little while ago I got a text from BF asking me how it's going. I was doing some work, so I responded boring. He said let's make it not boring, which set off all the alarms. For some context, she is the most awkward person I know and would never even think of sliding into anyone's DMs. She would literally ask someone to ask for ketchup for her. I assumed that someone snatched her phone or she lost a bet or something, so I ask who it is. She says your future side chick. I call up my GF, send her a screenshot of the conversation so far and ask her what she thinks is going on, or if they were together and she was playing a prank on me through her phone. She says she has no idea, but she will call BF to figure out what is going on. She says that they FaceTimed and BF said that I was flirting with her. Because BF is so awkward, she has a lying face, and my GF said that she was pretty sure that BF was not lying. She told me that she was sent screenshots of me flirting with BF, and that she was not the type of person to forge screenshots and play a joke like this, and that I was. She was telling me that I was taking this joke too far. I ended up calling other friends to try to figure out if anyone was with her to do this, but they all were doing different things. My GF said that she was at home. I called my GF 4 times over about an hour and a half trying to figure out who was behind the phone. I even asked her to make sure that I was getting texted by the right number. I wanted to call BF to see if she was the one actually texting me, but she was not picking up. She is known to not pick up most calls unless they were from GF. GF agrees to call BF and merges me there while I'm muted so I can hear what BF is telling GF. They just talk about what my GF told me, how I was sexting BF, etc. Eventually she reveals that it was a prank, that she was at BF's house, and she was going to let me know that it was a prank earlier when I stopped thinking it was funny, but it was just too funny to stop. Too funny meaning she enjoyed watching me try to prove my innocence to her, knowing that I was believing everything she said. I get off the phone furious, and I spend around an hour thinking of ways that I could get them back. I even called GF back to apologize for ending the phone call that way just so that when I struck there would be no suspicion that it was me doing it out of spite. I was planning on staging myself getting caught cheating in a few weeks, then break up with GF for the new girl, only to reveal afterwards that I was fucking with her mind, there was no new girl, and that it was just a prank, bro. After calming down, I realized that being petty and reciprocating her actions would not yield a positive outcome, and talking to my GF about how I feel about her prank would be in my best interest. Throughout this whole ordeal, I was wholeheartedly trusting her. There were so many holes in her story. She took close to a minute to merge the calls, clearly planning what to say with BF. She didn't trust the screenshots I sent even before BF sent the screenshots that threatened the legitimacy of mine, and so much more. This is what has me worried. If I'm not overthinking a simple prank, it seems as if I'm wearing rose-tinted glasses. I haven't told anyone about this yet, except someone on Discord who I don't know IRL. They think I should break up with her, but their philosophy was DTB, only have hoes, not a girlfriend, so I'm not too keen on trusting their advice. So, I'm looking for opinions. Am I overthinking this and it's just a funny prank, or am I right to be upset? Tell her pull a stunt like that again and it's over. I'm not playing head games. Bro TF up. That's immature and stupid, and will continue if you don't nip it in the bud. And if she does pull a stunt like that again, straight up break up. Don't you dare apologize to her, that's just fucking ridiculous. I'm admittedly on the line about breaking up with honestly. You need to call her out for her childish immature shit, and if the relationship is a joke to her maybe you need a new GF. Thanks for the opinion. I'm glad to hear that I wasn't just overthinking things and that I have a reason to be angry. Pro-life tip: pranks are not funny unless everyone is laughing. If someone isn't laughing then it's bullying dressed up as a prank, so the pranked can't defend themselves. It was too funny to stop. You need to lighten up, chill out. Everyone was laughing are just defenses the pranker uses to convince themselves they are not an asshole. This beyond at high school type shit. Unfortunately, their advice is probably right. That was a dangerous game she played, and she did it to see if she could trust you, meaning, she doesn't trust you. What if you entertained the DMs? She'd have broken up with you, and rightfully so. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes. If you're not ready to jump to that yet, the two of you need to have a long conversation about boundaries and trust. You might want to take a step back and really ask yourself if this is the only time her insecurities have come out in full force. If not, walking away is a no-brainer. I do need to have a talk with her about why she did it. From what I gathered, they both think it was a funny prank, not a test of loyalty. My 30F father, 58M, and brother, 29M, want me to pay in advance on my inheritance. How do I navigate this? My father and brother live in my father's £110,000 house which has been paid off, Wales. They both work together doing odd jobs, around 15 hours per week at minimum wage, but have never made an effort to have a full-time job or earn anything more. Neither of them is in the best physical or mental health issues, which I feel are compounded by lack of work. Both are quite socially isolated, very dependent on each other, and suffer with intermittent depression. In my early 20s I followed a similar path, doing odd jobs, working 15 hours a week and never having much money. After a couple of years of doing this I realized I needed a change and got myself a full-time job at a large company and started to work my way up. Now I am in a position where I earn a wage above the national average, own my own home with my husband and have plenty of disposable income for investments and holidays. My father and brother have recently come to me with a proposition, mostly driven by my brother. They have a dream of traveling around South America for 6 months but don't currently have the money and will take 5 years plus to save the funds. In order to give them the funds, they're suggesting that my husband and I give them £10,000 as an advance payment against what would be my future inheritance when my father dies, the house. The deal is I give them the money. When my father dies, the house is split between me and my brother, for which I would receive roughly £55,000. It is essentially the same principle as equity release that some people do. I am not banking on any kind of inheritance. When my father dies without that house, my brother will be homeless, and without kicking him out, I will not see the money. The money itself is not important, as I will not need it and I am not expecting it. However, this proposition makes me uncomfortable. I work full-time and have applied myself to my career to get where I am today, whilst my father and brother are refusing to get a full-time job and are quite happy to do bit-part work. The solution is that they get a full-time job and save up like most people do. I want to see my father be happy and live his dream, but I don't want to be subsiding their poor lifestyle choices, my brother in particular. How do I tactfully navigate this and say no?